Lady Reddzz here on 93.9 WKYS, and welcome to the Babies Born Healthy Town Hall event brought to you by Maryland Department of Health, Maternal and Child Health Bureau. We are live right now on our 93.9 WKYS Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. So if you're tuned in, make sure you tell your family and friends to tap in right now because we're going to have real conversations not only about babies being born healthy, but also ensuring that mama is healthy too. Now, I am joined by the experts. Okay, you're in your hands like Allstate. I am with community health nurse Crystal and lactation consultant health director Whitney. How are you ladies this morning?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Of course, thank you for joining us. So let's just dive right in and discuss what is Babies Born Healthy program and why does it exist?
Yeah, so Babies Born Healthy is a program that was developed by the state of Maryland some years back to address racial disparities in infant mortality outcomes throughout the state. So here in Montgomery County, we were chosen as one of the counties to have this program. And so we are in year 8 of Babies Born Healthy, really looking at how can we reduce infant mortality and get those babies healthy and making it to their first birthday. We really focus on areas in Montgomery County where we see that those racial disparities are the worst. So if you're familiar with Montgomery County, that's areas like Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, and Aspen Hill. So that's really our goal here, is to have healthy moms and healthy babies.
So talk about the Black women have the highest mortality rate when giving birth. So talk about how your program will ensure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so one of the main things we do here at Babies Born Healthy is provide our clients with that education, which gives them the confidence to advocate for themselves when they feel like something's wrong. Because as women, we know when something's not right. We feel that in our bodies, but sometimes you don't have the language, you don't have the education to really identify what that is. And so we really want our clients to have that knowledge. And that's one of the things that we really stress is knowing what to look for, knowing when something may not be right so that you can immediately contact your provider and get that addressed.
Okay, so what are some benefits also in participating in the program?
Yeah, so like I said, one of the biggest benefits is the education, but also the support from our staff. We have a great team of 10 here, several nurses. Whitney's our lactation consultant. We also have another lactation consultant and health educators, and some fabulous community health workers. So support from us to help you along that journey. We're not just here to educate, but we're really here to be a partner with our clients. We have classes that we do in a group setting. So being in that group setting and having people around you who are going through similar things is also a way of support. And then also those tangible things, right? Having a baby is expensive. So we do provide that tangible support, diapers, car seats, pack and play, so those babies have a safe place to sleep. And then also we can offer transportation to our clients as well to get them to those doctor's appointments.
So let's talk about the process, right? Pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, and thereafter. Let's talk about the road and how you guys make an impact in mom's pregnancy.
Yeah, so we try to get our clients in very early. So as soon as that line comes up on the stick, we want you to call us. And so for some people, that's within like 4 to 5 weeks of pregnancy. And then for some, it takes them a little bit longer to get through the process. If they're having to get insurance, we want them, to get through that process. But as soon as you know, we want you to call us. So that way we can have maximum impact, right? There's a lot of information that goes into being pregnant, a lot to learn, especially if this is the first baby. But even with second, third, and fourth babies, things can be different, and there's always something new to learn. So our phone number's at the bottom. We do want you to call us. Here at Babies Born Healthy, we do focus on, like I said, those areas in Montgomery County, Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, Aspen Hill, all the way up to Burtonsville. And we do enroll pregnant women who have Medicaid. And so if that is you and you fit that description, we would love if you would give us a call so we can get you enrolled in the program.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about, I hear so many stories of a lot of women saying that you should have an advocate for you, right? Pre-pregnancy, labor and delivery. Whitney, can you touch on that?
The first advocate really should be yourself. You are the expert on you. And so what your best bet is, I think, while you're pregnant or even really before pregnancy is one, making sure that you're in optimal health. That's one thing I think that we see a lot of is some of our moms come through and they might have pre-existing health conditions or unmanaged conditions. So making sure that you're healthy first, even before you're thinking about having a baby, but especially while you're pregnant, like getting your numbers straight, making sure that you have primary care so that, after the baby is born, that you're still being followed and any conditions are being managed. But being your first advocate, knowing what your normal is, knowing, kind of where to seek care, helping. So like one of the things we do is a lot of community connections, pointing clients in the direction of where they kind of need to go. If you need primary care, let's make sure that you have that after the baby is born or while you're in between pregnancies, making sure that, you have connections to food security, housing security, and things like that. So making sure that you're good. And then being able to communicate that to the people around you. So in one of our classes, one of the things that I'll tell parents is, when you're having a baby, if you've just had a baby, like make a cheat sheet, make it easy for yourself. Because a lot of times after you've had a baby, it's just so much going on that things can get easily missed. Stuff can slip by the wayside. So make a cheat sheet. Who's your doctor? Who's the baby's doctor? Their pediatrician? Are you on medications? Are there any things that people need to know so that if something were to happen to you, it's written down and it's in place somewhere? You want to plan ahead as much as you can. And it typically we want it to take 9 months to have this baby. So you have plenty of time to plan. So advocating for yourself, knowing that a lot of our medical professionals, even though they're amazing and they're awesome, they're still people. And sometimes people make mistakes and sometimes people have misunderstandings. So making sure that what your needs are, what your desires are clearly communicated, that things are documented, because if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And so I just want to make sure that moms know that they have rights, they have bodily autonomy. We've actually done classes and education around that. That's actually a component of all of our classes, is knowing what your rights are. And we call that the BRAIN method. So what are the benefits of a decision? What are the risks of a decision? What are the alternatives? So do you have other options or other choices? Are there other things we can try? What does your intuition say? Because again, you're the expert on you. So how do you feel in your spirit or in your heart when something is brought to you? And then what happens if you do nothing? A lot of times in birth, we see things that might feel they are serious, but they may not be the most emergent. But there's this heightened sense of fear and things being on a timeline, and things can get rushed, and that's where mistakes can happen. So what happens if we wait a little bit? We're not saying permanently, but what happens if, can I come back? Can I think about this? Can I talk to my partner? Can I call my mom? Can I phone a friend? Can I take 10 minutes to really process this and then come back and make a decision? So just being able to slow kind of things down so that you can make an informed decision, educating on informed consent, rather than being kind of like, well, we're going to do this, and making sure that our clients really understand and are active participants in their care.
That's great. So I do want to ask, I've had like family members who have been pregnant and they realized that they had gestational diabetes too late and that caused a premature birth. Is there any advice that you can give to someone to ensure that that doesn't happen? They can catch it early on so they can have a healthy delivery?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So with gestational diabetes, there is a routine test that's done during pregnancy that tests for that. So just going to your prenatal appointments and knowing and making a plan with your doctor so you know what tests are coming up so you can make sure that you get there for those. So with gestational diabetes, it is important to get that screening test done because like you mentioned, there are complications if that goes untreated.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the benefits of a healthy diet and lifestyle? Because oftentimes women feel like, oh, we're young, we can do whatever, we can eat whatever. But how do we ensure that we have a healthy pregnancy and still, get all our nutrients and things like that?
Focusing on whole foods as much as possible. It's okay to have a little treat, a little pick me up here and there. But, it's kind of like a rule of thumb is, if you're taking your food out of a package or a box or something like that, it may not be as healthy than if you're, picking up whole ingredients. And even with that, that's recognizing where people's, like I said, what is their food situation like? I live in a pretty affluent area of the DMV. It's technically a food desert. If we're going to go off of what the definition of a food desert is, I have to get in my car and drive 10 or 15 minutes to get to a grocery store. And so we have to be realistic in understanding what people's food sources may be, what their access to food, healthy foods may be. So it's easy to say, like, eat whole foods, prioritize your fruits and vegetables, do this, that, and the other. But if this family doesn't have a car, if this family is not directly on a public transportation route, you know, they don't have reliable transportation, that's a little bit easier said than done. So there is some nuance with that. How Babies Born Healthy tries to counteract that is, one, when we do intake, we always encourage our clients, because most of our clients are Medicaid eligible, is to encourage them to enroll in WIC, get those WIC benefits. You know, a lot of your pantry staples you can stock up on easily with that. And, you know, some rice and some beans can go a really long way, and it's good protein, it's healthy carbs if you're getting brown rice and things like that. And then you can supplement with your produce and your vegetables and make things stretch. If there's one thing we know how to do culturally is make some food stretch.
Okay.
So recognizing, recognizing that. The other thing that we have been trying to do, or one area we've been successful over the last year, is our partnership with Manna Foods. So they've been a wonderful resource for Montgomery County and for our clients specifically, and they've done amazing work with providing produce boxes. I think we've also had a partnership with Hungry Harvest. So we've worked really hard to make sure that our clients have access to fresh fruits and vegetables where they can have the food sent straight to their home. They don't have to come to a place to pick it up, or if they do have to come pick it up, we'll try to get it to them when we're doing our visits and things like that. So make sure they have access to fresh fruits and vegetables in an alternative manner, rather than just, saying like, oh, we'll just go to the store and pick this up. No, we're going to make sure you have it. We're going to send it right to your doorstep. So those two have been amazing partnerships that we've secured over the last couple of years to ensure that our clients are eating healthy and maintaining. We also encourage exercise. Exercise doesn't have to be going to the gym 3 times a week. So when we have our classes, we actually have a certified yoga instructor come in and just do gentle movements with these moms to kind of keep them loose, help them prepare their body for childbirth and for postpartum, because once you have kids, you're constantly running around. We also encourage them to get outside and walk with their children, to incorporate their children in their exercise routine. So put that baby in the stroller, put that baby in a baby wrapper, baby carrier, and walk with them, get outside with them. Everybody needs that little bit of vitamin D to help boost your mood and things like that. So just very small, actionable ways to incorporate diet and exercise into their life. We're not saying do anything crazy or drastic, just everyday things.
Yes, that's amazing. You guys are really like a one-stop shop. They can come to you all for everything. What are some advice that you can share with women who are over the age of 35, pre-pregnancy? What should they look out for?
Yeah, so I would say making sure that you're getting into care early. So technically being over the age of 35, and I hate this term because I'm in that demographic, but is advanced maternal age. So that is technically a risk factor. So making sure that you're getting into prenatal care early. If this is a pregnancy that you're planning, so while you're trying to get pregnant, focus on those things that are going to help you with your health, the diet, the exercise, making sure that your chronic conditions are under control. So if you have high blood pressure, if you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, making sure that those conditions are being treated and you're being followed by your primary care doctor, and just checking in. So the more education you can get, I think that makes people feel more confident in their pregnancy, especially when they're going in with risk factors already.
Yeah, so let's talk about other programs that Montgomery County has to offer support pregnant women and their families.
Sure. So Montgomery County is fortunate to have several different programs working to address maternal health and maternal and infant mortality and morbidity. Morbidity meaning things that can be a bad outcome. So obviously we do the work here in kind of like the southern eastern portion of the county. So like Crystal said, Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, Aspen Hill, kind of anything off of like Route 29. But we have other amazing programs. We have the nurse home visiting program or maternal partnership program, which is also through Montgomery County Health Department. They work very closely with a lot of our immigrant population as well, folks who are underinsured. We have the African American Health Program SMILE program, which they work also extensively with Black African American families, and they also will take families that are not in Medicaid. So a lot of times for those of us, if the question is always, like, that's great, but I don't have Medicaid. What about the rest of us?
Right.
So they're the rest of us. And they're an amazing program and do a lot of really great work. They are based out of our Rockville office. So they're a great resource. And then being where we're located at, we also get some trickle over from DC. We get trickle over from Prince George's County. So I always recommend folks to it's a little bit more research in those areas, but the DMV as a whole, there is a lot of great ground root work happening. So Montgomery County often will refer back to, DC Health. We have connections with Mama Toto Village in Northeast DC. We've partnered with them for events in the past, and they're a wonderful resource, especially for Ward 7 and 8. Also Healthy Beginnings program in Prince George's County and the Family Connects program in Prince George's County. Family Connects does home visiting through the University of Maryland Hospital Capital Region Health. And then Healthy Beginnings is through the Prince George's County Health Department in Cheverly. So those are great resources. She Rises, which is a great resource for young moms. So if you know a teen mom or a mom in college or something like that, like a young mom under, I think, 24, She Rises is a really great organization helping to support new moms with scholarship support, baby gear supplies, just peer support and things like that. So there are a lot of resources in this area. A lot of great organizations doing the work to address helping our families thrive and grow through their childbearing years.
And even outside of Montgomery County, that's why I say the DMV is such a special place. What are the biggest myths that you've heard surrounding pregnancy? Let's debunk them, okay? Let's set the record straight.
Yeah, I think it's maybe not a myth, but I think that one of the main storylines, especially when it comes to Black maternal health, is the opposite of joy. And so we hear a lot of the bad outcomes and the bad stories, but really here at Babies Born Healthy, we're focused on healthy outcomes and healthy births and making sure that we uplift women so that they know that joy is possible, joy is expected, and we don't expect them to have a negative outcome. So really just going into it with the mindset of like, this is a beautiful time. I'm going to be healthy. My baby is going to be healthy, and we're going to thrive through this.
Yes. Whitney, let's talk about, you're a lactation consultant. Let's talk about the importance of breastfeeding, because I often hear a lot of moms say, oh, I'm so stressed. My body's not producing enough milk. Like, I want to breastfeed my baby, but I feel defeated, because I have to turn to formula. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Sure. That's a whole conversation into itself. And I was going to say one of the biggest myths I hear is that our bodies are just not capable. I just don't believe in the fact that our bodies can carry our children for 38, 39, 40 weeks or longer. And then we have the baby and automatically now we just are not unable to do things. It doesn't quite work that way. So my biggest thing is, like I said, taking your pregnancy to get that education and support. Surround yourself with people who have been where you are and have reached the goal that you're working to. So, we love our mama, we love our grandma, we love our auntie, but if mama, auntie, grandma did not breastfeed, that's probably not the person we should be asking for help. But maybe your girlfriend who did successfully, breastfeed for a year, maybe that's the person we should be talking to. Anything that's worth doing is going to have some challenges. So there are lactation consultants all across the DMV. I know many of them. They're excellent. So getting that support early, getting prenatal education with breastfeeding especially is important. And with birth as well. I compare it to weddings.
Yes.
We spend all this time preparing for one day. And then there's the whole life after the one day. So we spend a lot of time focusing on the birth event itself, and everyone's so wrapped up around that. But then after the baby is born, you have to raise this baby. So making sure that you have the tools to be able to confidently do that. So knowing what what are signs of a healthy milk supply or not. Again, making sure that you're in your optimal health, because yes, if you are chronically stressed, if you're not eating properly, and I'm not talking about eating, a little snack cake here and there. I mean, like, we're not eating well. You're not eating at all. You have concerns with hormones and things like that. Maybe you have PCOS or diabetes or things like that. There may be some concerns that we want to address again before you're pregnant or while you're pregnant, because that might impact your ability to breastfeed. But on the whole, it's just education and support.
Yes, as we're winding down on time, I just want to ask one more question really quick on how your program sheds light on women experiencing postpartum and how you walk them through it.
Yeah, so with postpartum depression, I think that's what you're referring to specifically, is one of the things that we do focus on a lot. And so with maternal mental health, we're looking at a whole range of things that can happen. So not just postpartum depression, but postpartum anxiety, and recognizing that these things don't always start after the baby's born. And so sometimes there are mental health concerns before pregnancy. They can develop during the pregnancy, and they can happen after. So really, again, going back to education, making sure people are aware of the signs and symptoms that might clue them in that something's going on with their mental health, and then also connecting them to mental health resources. So we have great partnerships here that we can refer people to therapists so that they can get the mental health support that they need.
Well, thank you, Crystal, and thank you, Whitney, for joining me today. Let everybody know where they can find more info about Babies Born Healthy program.
Absolutely. So we are on Instagram. You can also go to the Montgomery County government website and type in the search bar Babies Born Healthy or Babies Born Healthy MoCo. So we're on Instagram at Babies Born Healthy MoCo. You can keep up to date with all of our events, our happenings. We are very heavy out in the community. We'll actually be at the Silver Spring Parade tomorrow. So we try to keep a very prominent presence in the community where we live, where we work. So you can find us all over.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. We're ensuring that not only baby's born healthy, but mama is healthy too. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.